It's that time of year. It's Cheltenham on the horizon, and we've gathered in Bill and Davey into the Star Sports Zoom room once again, and we're going to have a look at the 4 championship races at Cheltenham. And we're going to kick off with the main event on the Tuesday, which is the Champion Hurdle. We'll have a quick show of betting, and we'll get straight into it. But Honeysuckle, the mighty mare, who's 13 from 13, heads to the market at 4 to 6. Appreciate it, who we haven't seen yet this season. It's a 5 to 1 chance. Sharjah's going to have another crack at her, 6 to 1. Zanahiyr, 10 to 1, with 12 to 1 bar. Davey, I'll come straight to you. A word on Honeysuckle, whether she's beatable or not, and then touch on the Gordon horses, of which Zanahiyr looks the strongest.
Yeah, whether she's very much beatable, they all are. But to be honest, I think the way she performed last year, and again she started off her campaign again this year, you know, she retains all her ability. She's very, very good. She's going to be very tough to beat. I think it's the old thing that you kind of need to stay a little bit further to win a champion hurdle and have that bit of class, and she just has it. She has loads of stamina, so you just can't outstay her, and she's loads of class and loads of speed. I felt last year maybe that she could get caught for the first half of the race, and she did a little bit, but she equipped herself really, really well. She's just an extraordinary filly. We really haven't seen definitely haven't got to the end of her yet, anyway.
Bill, she's exceptional and she's short, and it makes it a lovely each way race, particularly Ante-Post. I assume that's your thoughts on your angle, and if so, which one?
Yeah, it's a cracker. I mean, first thing to mention is that we're recording this in January. So anyone tuning in nearer the race and sees us talking about horses that aren't there, it's not our fault.
Don't worry so much, Bill. Don't worry so
much. No. I just wanted to reiterate the point. Honeysuckle is clearly the one at the time of writing, of recording. She's whatever, 8 to 11. She'll be 2 to 5 if she turns up in one piece. She's the clearly the one they've got to beat. We don't know whether Appreciate's going to show. We're going to get to see Appreciate probably at the Dublin Racing Festival, but he brings the top novice hurdling form of last year to the party, so that'll be interesting. And Sharjah's trying to do a theatre world, like chasing her Mr. Rack all those times. Sharjah, I think, looking to come runner-up in a champion hurdle 3 years on the trot. But well found. He's kind of 8 to 1 in the market. For me, the each way bet at this time would be Epatante. I think she's actually a really good, rock solid each way bet. The reason for my madness is she's a mare. She's the same age as Honeysuckle. She gets that lovely £7 allowance. She wasn't herself last year. She just wasn't herself. She's a former winner, of course, but she just showed nothing last year. She was 3rd in this race on the back of a really bad run at Kempton. And if you watch the replay of last year's champion hurdle, she hit the 4th last, the 3rd last, got squeezed up at the 2nd last, and still managed to be produced on the outside to try and run them down, and flattened out after last and finished 3rd. But this year, Newcastle, she won up first time up. She was much better at Kempton. She travelled with zest. She hurdles really well. I just think she is the one that can now actually potentially serve something up to Honeysuckle. And I thought 12 or 14, you can get out there. Sometimes the betting without market's a bit of value without Honeysuckle. I just think with the weight in her favour, I think she can run really well.
And Davey, just touching on the golden strings, he's got a strong hand in here with Zanahiyr, who hopefully will run in this race. It looks likely if you read plenty on Twitter. You've got St. Felician further down the market, Tihupu as well, Abukadabra, so you've got a strong relationship. Would you say Zanahiyr is the standout of his lot?
Yeah, well, he's got the most done and the most that we can go on. I thought he ran a very, very good race, and you must remember he's only 5, and I think he's going to strengthen up as the year goes on. A slight worry he didn't put his best foot forward over the course and distance last year in the Triumph Hurdle, but we all kind of knew that wasn't the true showing. So you'd like to see him come back to a little bit of form, better form after traveling. You know what I mean? So look, it's a very tough race. He's a very good horse standing here. He's after meeting Sharjah, who seems to be a specialist around Leopardstown, borderline hurricane flight kind of territory, So he's got rock solid form, and he has the scope to improve. The one horse maybe you could take out of that race was Saint Roy, who ran well. he's only rated 155. So whether that's good enough to get you placed in the champion hurdle, I'm not so sure. I don't know, but I just thought that nothing really went to plan for him in Leopardstown, and I felt maybe he could come out of that run with a little bit more than what he's actually shown on the day.
Brilliant. Well, thanks, chaps. That's the champion hurdle. Honeysuckle for Davy. Each way play for you is very much epatante for the start, exactly. And that's that. Let's hope the Supermare gets it done again, and we can roll on to the Wednesday afternoon, and one of the great races in the racing calendar is the Queen Mother Champion Chase. And what a race we've got this year. We were denied this in the Arkle last year, but hopefully we're going to see the showdown in the Queen Mother this year. And Shishkin takes on Energumene. Show of betting, Shishkin slightly odds against, 11-10 favourite, Energumene 9-4, Chacon Poursoir 9, Nuba Negra 9, Granatine 10 bar. Should we waste any time on the others, or should we just get stuck straight into the front two?
Well, we've done that. We've done that in the past, and
well, I'll be in the others camp, but I'll let Davey bat first with the front two.
Well, Davey, tell me which one's got the nicest backside, because you followed them both home a few times.
Not something I would pay a whole lot of attention to.
We'll do that in the parade ring instead.
Yeah. So I just have a huge scraw for Shishkin, Nicky Henderson. You know, he's just a fabulous horse. He's for me, he lights me up. You know, from an outside, from a horse or a race that may not be involved in. I just love watching Shishkin. He's a fantastic horse. Energumene is that kind of a horse that, you know, it's all there, it's all on show, but we haven't seen the big clash yet. So that's why I'd be siding with Shishkin until he gets dethroned. I'd be on his side.
I'm 100% with you. I think the 11-10 now, I think that would be sure to come the day. I don't think you need to be rushing out to taking 11-10 2 months in advance, but I just think if you're looking on the day, I think he's absolutely exceptional, Shishkin. Bill, come on, you're looking at, I think it's a lovely each way race.
Yeah, I mean, you've got two exceptional horses at the top. Shishkin.
We've both got to get there.
Yeah, both got to get there. Shishkin 10 from 11. On the rules, and Energumene 7 from 8. I mean, they've both been beaten, but they've had kind of mishaps and whatever.
Bill, before you say it, I'm looking at it and I can't find it.
Okay, I'm going to say it to you. It is, and you're going to think I'm mad, but it is actually Nuba Negra, the skeleton horse. And the key to this horse is fresh. And Nuba Negra, if you watch last year's race, he sprawled at the last, and if he hadn't sprawled at last, shoulda, coulda, if whatever, he would have gone very close to winning it, and he just didn't put the kettle on in that run on his reappearance this season when he won at Cheltenham. He stays really well. He was the strongest finisher in last year's race. You could put a line through the run at Sandown behind Grenadine. It came too soon. It was weeks away, 3 weeks after his win at Cheltenham in November. They put him away. He's going to go to Cheltenham fresh. So there's no run, there's no prep. He'll be primed for this from the Skeletons. Whether he's good enough to beat the front two, I don't know. But he's a really good each way bet at around 12. There might be a very small field here. If those two turn up, you're going to get a 6-7 runner race.
And guaranteed runners is often the play here.
Yeah,
100%. The price. And you'd have to think it's the most clear as daylight that this is his target, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And the thing I like about Nuba Negra is that if you watch last year's race, the harder they went, the better he travelled. It was really weird. He did it against Altior when he won the Desert Orchid a couple of years ago. When he travelled, no one could believe what they were watching when he was just travelling all over the winner. And in last year's race, he travelled all over behind them, and there was Shakin under pressure. There were good horses around him struggling, and he travelled really well. And when you get matchups like these, like Energumene and Shishkin, if they get racing too early, which is Energumene style anyway, he might travel like a dream behind them, and just there may be something to pick up at the end. And I just think he's a good each way bet at 12. I love the front two. I think they're really, kind of what I would call Hall of Famers. They could be real icons of the sport going forward. So you're taking on very good horses. But just the way the race could shape up, a fresh horse like Nubanega on the back of a break, I think he's a good each way bet at 12, and I think he could cause a shock.
And Bill, how many has to run in this for the first 3?
8. There needs to be 8 runners, and I can't see there being 8 on the day. If those 2 turn up, I think they get skipped off.
It's a bit like your success story with Defi DeSoy a couple of years ago, Bill.
What was
Which of the top 2 do you feel would suffer? Do you know what I mean? For him to get to, which you would say you're saying he may finish second.
Yeah, I think the most likely one I'd like to take on of the front 2 would be Energumen, because he's got no Cheltenham experience. Shiskin is fairly bomb-proof. I just think the way that if Energumen goes very hard and tries to run the finish out of Shiskin, all I'm saying is that those 2 might get racing a long way out. I just love a horse that can travel in behind. I'm not saying he might be in a different postcode behind them. That's the other thing. But if he's within touching distance, it's the perfect Davy Russell ride, because if you can stalk them, you can pick something up at the end. Maybe if they go too hard at it, and there's just a danger that Energumen might try to run the finish or get Shiskin to hit that flat spot and try and get him in trouble. And if he doesn't, and Shiskin draws alongside, and they have a bit of a duel coming down to the second last rather than the last, who knows what will be there to be picked up after last. I just think he's an each way play at 12.
Paul Maloney would have been your man for the prize money. That's it. Gents, that's the Queen Mother. Shishkin for me and Davey. Nubanega each way for Bill. Thanks for your time, gents. Thursday afternoon sees the grueling Stayers Hurdle. You've got to stay every bit of 3 miles to win this. There's been some greats over the year, run-up series in it, the likes of Big Bucks et al. But we've got a cracking betting heat this year. I'll quickly run down the prices, gents, and then we'll get stuck into it. But we bet 5-2 Classical Dream, the favourite, 4-1 Champ, 11-2 Flooring Porter, 6-1 Time Hill, 20-1 Bar. So we're basically saying we've got 4 horses well clear of the field. Some amazing Cheltenham form in amongst them as well. Classical Dreams, incredible performance. Champ, people will never forget that. Flooring Porter was brilliant. Davey, I'll come straight to you. Would you run Champ in this race if he was yours?
Yeah, especially the way he operated at the last day. I was very impressed by him, and he kind of looks like that Stayers Hurdle would suit him. A little bit behind the bridle. Likes to get down and dirty, and when stamina comes into play, he seems to have abundance of it. He just kind of over-exaggerates. Not over-exaggerates. He's just not quite as quick from takeoff to landing in over fences, and he doesn't seem to lose any ground over hurdles. So for that reason, I would imagine that I would have no problem going down the Stayers Hurdle route with him. Yeah, definitely. I think, especially the way it's run, because you're guaranteed pretty much pace with Flooring Porter. He seems to have only he's one-dimensional. So you have that, and then you also have the other jockeys worrying about him getting a freebie in front. So where Champ can't really do anything about that because he's not quick enough, or that's not his style of running. But it's a very interesting race. Like if Flooring Porter gets loose in front, he is quite hard to beat. And then you're kind of worrying which one of the jockeys on, one of the fancied horses is going to go and take the lead off him. Obviously Classical Dream done it the last day. It was a little bit by mistake because he went to fly lap at the tapes, and he met it running and he was gone, and it was pretty much over. And Flooring Porter couldn't get around him because of the way he runs. He hangs to his left. When you leave him alone, he runs in a straight line going left-handed, but when you try to pull him off the rail, he just kind of goes against you the whole time and kept tucking. And I thought Paul Townend was actually brilliant on the winner. He never came off the rail, so he made Flooring Porter have to try and come around him the whole time, and he just wasn't able. Classical Dream is a very, very good horse, but I would like Champ. I very much would. I think all his credentials lead to what you need for a Stayers.
Of those 4 at the top of the market, if you could jump on one of them now, that would be your pick.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Just the way he runs, seems to be quite straightforward, and he's got bags of stamina, and we know he has got class because he's a classy horse, and he reverted from chasing back to hurdling quite well, which we've seen with the likes of Bouvier and them horses, Big Bucks, all them horses. Not every horse can revert back to hurdling and be as good, but he seems to be able to do it.
Bill? Do you want to focus on the four at the top and then give us one from further down if you want to?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great race. This the rematch between Classical Dream and Flooring Porter, like David was saying, looks a cracker. I mean, Classical Dream's a bit of a freak. It was just, I mean, the performance at Punchestown on the back of 500 days to come and do what he did that day last April was stunning. And he surprised me at Christmas because he was brilliant there too. Really well found in the market on both days. Hugely punted.
The first time.
So it wasn't neither of those really good victories were surprises to the yard. Now, if you can forgive him the 2 runs in 2019 where he bombed out, he came on the back of a really impressive winner of the Supreme. He's a very, very talented horse. He's fragile, but he looks to be back. And if I'm honest, I look to oppose him in the market, and then you look at Champ and you look at Flooring Porter and whatever, and Time Hill. They're all really respected, but if the real Classical Dream turns up, he'll probably win again. He's got the Cheltenham form in the book. I thought around 11-4 Classical Dream of the leading contenders, I think he's the most likely winner because I think he's just got real class. I fancied Flooring Porter to beat him the last day, and he just beat him. He was just too good for him, and he's just got a serious engine on him. He stays. It promises to be a real good race. Flooring Porter, we were keen on him this time last year. Big double figure price. You've got to take 5-1 this time round, so it's a bit shorter. He'll run well, but he's a bit too short. I'd far rather take Classical Dream at 11-4 than 5-1 Flooring Porter. If there was a left field one, a massive price, if he came here, it might be Gavin Cromwell's other horse, who won well the other day, Dava Star, who looked
very impressive.
He was hugely impressive, and if they turned him inside out, and they're talking about going to the Boyne Hurdle, and they said the Stairs Hurdle probably isn't the plan, but if he was to win there impressively, it's the only place they could go. And doing what we're doing now, you're going to try to find a horse that's going to shorten up massively. If there's one that could shorten up, it could be Dava Star. If he turned up here at 33s, I think that's far too big a price.
Ticks the boxes of Gone Chasing, didn't work.
He's not dissimilar to Champ, and don't forget he's placed in a champion hurdle.
And well in a champion hurdle, of course, exactly.
He looked a proper stayer, and maybe he's just the kind of fly in the ointment. But I'd say Classical Dream, but he could be the dark horse.
Okay, so to conclude, the Stairs Hurdle, Champ for Davy, very much Time Hill for me. I think it's lovely each way price at 6-1, and Classical Dream for you. So we're sticking with the head of the market, and that's the Stairs Hurdle. No bigger race in the racing calendar all year, the Cheltenham Gold Cup. And we're lucky enough to have a person who's ridden the winner of the Gold Cup, Davy Russell, on Lord of Windermere. And I was looking through, Davy, earlier, trying to find the shortest price horse you've ever ridden in the Gold Cup. And I think this might be it. So if we get a show betting, we've got Aplutar 3-1 favourite. Galvin comes in here at 5-1. Mileno Indo 7. Album Photo 8. Protectorat is 10s. Tornado Flower 12s. But straight to you, Galvin's got fantastic Cheltenham form. Brilliant performance at Christmas. Brilliant ride. 9-2. Every chance.
Look, he's a very good horse. He likes the place. He's definitely as good, if not better, around Cheltenham than anywhere else. And he's taken a step up from novice handicap, 4 mile or whatever you call it, and he's taken it up in Leopardstown. He was very good. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it now.
How excited are you?
And I'm not that excited at the moment, to be honest. I won't be that excited until you see the result, really.
Fair play.
Or disappointed. But I was speaking to Ronnie there this evening, and he was saying, we enjoyed Leopardstown, and we need to look forward to the future. So we're just looking forward to it, really, and what it'll be will be. He looks like he's going to go straight there. Carly, that looks after him, put up a video of him. He's in brilliant form. So but there's so much water going to the bridge between now and then. He's entered in Leopardstown, but he could go to Leopardstown or he could go straight there, and neither would be a negative or a positive. He can, he's just a very likable horse.
Bill, are you surprised at the prices? As in, there is a rematch there. Listen, there's a lot more in behind it, of course. But in terms of the rematch at 3-1 and 5-1, does that surprise you the way they are?
No, I think you know, I think it's about right. I think you know, TARR is an exceptional horse, but I think Galvin is a brilliant horse too. And just picking Davy up on a couple of things he said, I think it does. For me, it would make a difference whether he went to the Dublin Racing Festival. I'd far rather he was fresh. I think that as a race, he doesn't want to have another battle with TARR-esque battle so close to the festival. He went straight there last year after a big break, and he was brilliant in the 4 miler. I'm not just saying it because he's on the Zoom now, but no one rides the chase course at Cheltenham better than Davy Russell. And to hold on to a horse like Galvin, who stays miles further than most of these anyway, is a huge plus in the locker, because there's some of the leading contenders see out a Gold Cup trip, but with not much spare change. This fella sees it out with plenty of spare change. And if conditions got tough or the race, you know, it was really competitive, there's no better stay in the race, and Davy's just the perfect match for him. And he's going to take a world of beating. And of the leading contenders, you know, TARR, Galvin, and Manila Indo, I'd definitely be in the Galvin camp. I think he's got all the right credentials. The only unattractive thing for me is the price. He's just very short, but he deserves to be short.
Manila Indo, obviously, that came out, didn't look 100% fit on debut against Frodon, who was clearly tuned up for that, and just seemed to go a crazy pace in the King George. I almost thought you could look to ignore that.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it was never really going to be the right track for him, and he's a proper old stayer, but he's got a bit to prove now. He may prove it, and you know, he had his day last March. I just wonder whether there is something underlying there. I don't know. He just was in both races. He's been a bit disappointing. I think the dangers, funny enough, to Galvin and TARR may lie beneath. I think there's a few lurkers. I think
give me two each way plays.
I'll give you 2 each way, though. They're 2 obvious each way plays. Protectorate is
that has been put up. It was 16s, 14s, 9s now. Do you think it's plenty short enough?
Well, you can get 10s, but he is a very talented horse. And the question mark, I had him down as a non-stayer, and he was brilliant at Aintree.
He's beaten a native 13-year-old native who's been retired a week later. I mean, it's flattering form, isn't it?
The thing is you've got a horse that's got the speed over 2.5, and who stays, and the ground was tough. It was a real stayers race, and the fact that Protectorate, Native, and River and Sam Brown, they were the only 3 finishers that day. You know, they all cried enough. It was a proper staying performance, and they were trying something different with him. And then when you go back through those races and you look at the performance behind Midnight Shadow in the Paddy Power Gold Cup, he was carrying 11-12. He ran better than Long Run ran in the race. You know, don't forget that. It's really hard for a horse to carry top weight in a race like that and get so close. And he actually wants further. And when you go back last year and you look at the Aintree run, you know, when he won the Grade 1, the Manifesto Novices, you know, when he beat Hitman and the Shunter and that lot, he looked in trouble, and his stamina kicked in over 2.5. And he's just an untried thing with him. And here's a horse that is likely to improve the trip. Whether he gets the Gold Cup trip and whether he sees it out stamina-wise as well as Davy and Galvin, I don't know. But Protectorate's a player. And the other one to throw in there is the King George winner, Tornado Flyer, because there's another horse where you're suddenly trying something different. Stamina, he looked all about stamina in the King George. You know, I was on the Asterion Phalange, and yeah, whether he would or wouldn't have, he wasn't closing him that, as easy as everyone says. You know, I backed him, and I can't say would have won if he stayed up, because he'd had the race won, and you know, he's beaten Clandazobo 9 lengths in a King George, and he's run well previously in the Ryanair when he finished 3rd last year, admittedly beating the postcode, but he stays well and is getting his act together. And all I'm saying is at 14 or 16-1, he's bigger than he should be. And those 2 will serve it up to the likes of Galvin. So
you've got one dart.
One dart is going to hit the bloke sitting on the screen beneath me. I go with Galvin. I think he's the real deal.
Yeah. Well, we speak for everyone that watches every week, and for all of us, Davey. Look, he's a good horse. He's been there, he's won it, and we all hope he goes there and does it for you again.
Sound.
And I'd also say I hope it's more enjoyable than the last Gold Cup you won, that you get it in the steward when you're waiting for the stewards and you have to peer through the window and watch him monitor and see whether you won. I hope he wins with daylight to spare.
I don't mind.
I don't
Christ alive! You don't just want to win it. You want to win it easy now. Nothing like greed, is there, in the punting world, chaps? Nothing like greed. Guys, on you go. Thank you very much, Davey. We wish you all the best of luck.
Thanks, lads.